Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. The number one rule when reacting to NFL news is simple. Wait, don't jump to conclusions until the full details are in. And in the case of the Miami Dolphins' latest move, a blockbuster trade involving Ramsey, Jonnu Smith, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, that golden rule couldn't be more relevant. When the initial news broke, fans and analysts alike were scrambling to make sense of it. Ramsey to the Steelers, Smith on the move to Fitzpatrick heading back to Miami. It sounded like fantasy football. But now that the financial fine print has surfaced, we're starting to see what this move really means, and more importantly, what it tells us about the Dolphins' strategy moving forward. It's no longer just about the names involved, it's about the dollars, the cents, and the bigger picture in Miami's front office as they juggle star power with cap space. For months, it was no secret around the league that Ramsey's time in Miami was ticking. Teams had been circling, waiting for the Dolphins to make him available. Pittsburgh was one of those teams, and not just for Ramsey, they'd had their eyes on Jonnu Smith. Smith's athleticism and versatility had caught the Steelers' attention for over a year. So when both names suddenly surfaced in trade rumors together, it felt like Miami was trying to kill two birds with one stone. Package both players, solve the financial dilemmas, and restock the roster in one surgical move. It was clever until the money got in the way. Ramsey's massive salary, more than $21 million guaranteed this season, became the biggest obstacle. Smith, on the other hand, wanted a raise. The Dolphins liked him, but not enough to open the vault, and that's where the puzzle started to get complicated. It turns out Miami blinked first. While they didn't meet every demand, they did make a key concession to get the deal over the line. The Dolphins agreed to kick in another $3 million toward Ramsey's salary. That's on top of the $4 million they had already paid him earlier this offseason. So the final tab for Miami, a cool $7 million to help the Steelers take Ramsey off their hands. Not nothing, but not back-breaking either. In exchange, Pittsburgh takes on the remaining $19.6 million of Ramsey's contract, plus a newly renegotiated deal for Jonnu Smith that will now pay him $12 million in 2025. For comparison, Smith would have made just over $4 million if he stayed in Miami. That's a lot of coin, and it signals just how badly Pittsburgh wanted both players. Meanwhile, Miami's side of the trade brought back one significant piece: Minkah Fitzpatrick. That's a name that should sound familiar. He was once a rising star in Miami before being dealt to the Steelers in 2019. Now, he's back and bringing with him a $15.5 million salary. When you stack that against what Miami was paying out to Ramsey and what they would have owed Smith, the numbers start to take shape. The Dolphins had over $20 million in outgoing cash commitments between the two. Now, they're on the hook for just $15.5 million with Fitzpatrick. That means, in real dollars, they've freed up somewhere between $6.5 million to $7 million. And in the NFL, especially in June, that's enough to reshape your roster. That $6.50 to $7 million cushion might just be the Dolphins' next play. Reports are already emerging that Miami is exploring options to bring in another veteran cornerback. They're also sniffing around the tight end market again. The logic here is crystal clear: stay within the financial footprint they had planned. For Ramsey and Smith, the Dolphins don't want to start adding new expenses. They want to redistribute what they were already going to spend. It's a disciplined, budget-conscious approach that feels very different from the franchise's freewheeling spending just a couple of off-seasons ago. That philosophical shift is worth noting, and it might be the biggest clue yet about how Miami plans to build out the rest of this team. From a roster-building perspective, this trade is more than just a shuffle of names. It's a strategic recalibration. Ramsey brought star power but came with a huge price tag and a cloudy injury history. Smith was a nice weapon but wasn't indispensable. Fitzpatrick, on the other hand, fills a glaring hole in the Dolphins' secondary with proven all-pro talent. His return is a homecoming, but it's also a tactical move. Pairing Fitzpatrick with Jevon Holland gives Miami one of the most dynamic safety tandems in the league. It also provides defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver with flexibility to run exotic looks, blitz packages, and creative coverages, all while staying within the same financial lane the Dolphins were already occupying. This move might also reflect a deeper trust in the Dolphins' young corners. With Ramsey out, the pressure now shifts to players like Kader Kohou and Cam Smith to step up. Miami believes in its young core, and rather than overpaying for aging stars, they're opting to develop in-house talent, while strategically plugging holes with veterans like Fitzpatrick. It's not the flashy path, but it might be the smarter one, at a reasonably priced corner, with that leftover $6.50 to $7 million. And suddenly the secondary looks like a strength again, not a weakness. If Miami can also find a tight end with that same cost-conscious mindset, they'll have successfully turned a cap problem into roster depth. That's savvy management. What's fascinating here is the discipline Miami has shown in past years. The Dolphins might have swallowed Ramsey's full salary just to keep the name on the roster. Or they might have caved to Smith's contract demands without blinking, but this front office is playing chess, not checkers. They recognize the value of the trade not just in player performance, but in financial flexibility. That's the kind of thinking that separates perennial contenders from teams stuck in the middle. The decision to eat $7 million now in order to save nearly $7 million down the line, all while adding a Pro Bowl safety, shows a long-term vision that hasn't always been present in South Florida. And let's not overlook the message this trade sends to the locker room. Moves like this remind the team that no one is untouchable, that contracts, names, and reputations don't outweigh the greater good of the roster. It tells veterans to stay sharp, tells younger players there's opportunity, and tells fans that this team isn't content with mediocrity. The Dolphins are still very much in win-now mode, but they're doing it with a focus on value, not just hype. With Fitzpatrick back in aqua and orange, and some cap room still in their pocket, the Dolphins are poised to make another move. Maybe even the dot. So what's next for Miami? That's the million-dollar question, or in this case, the $6.5 million question. If they can snag a capable corner or tight end in that price range, the Dolphins will have executed one of the most effective financial maneuvers of the offseason. It's rare to offload to expensive contracts, get a star player back, and still have room to operate, but that's exactly what they've done. Now it's up to the front office to finish the job. The rest of the league should be watching closely, because the Dolphins aren't just trading players, they're trading up in philosophy. And that might be the biggest win of all. Still with us? Then show some love, hit that like button, and let us know in the comments what's your take on the Fins this week. Hold on to your seats, football fans, because the NFL world might be on the verge of a seismic shakeup that no one saw coming. Rumors are swirling that Aaron Donald, the defensive powerhouse and heart of the Los Angeles Rams defensive line, could be packing his bags and heading to South Florida. Yes, you heard that right. Whispers are growing louder about a potential blockbuster trade sending Donald to the Miami Dolphins, a move that would send shockwaves through the league. It's the kind of news that feels almost too wild to be true. Yet sources close to the situation suggest this historic deal might be inching closer to reality. Imagine the defensive juggernaut Donald has been suddenly swapping the Hollywood lights for the sunny shores of Miami. The Dolphins, a team hungry to make a bold statement, could be pulling off the biggest defensive coup in recent memory. What would this mean for the Dolphins? Well, Aaron Donald isn't just any defensive tackle. He's a three-time Defensive Player of the Year and arguably one of the most dominant forces to ever step onto the gridiron. If Miami lands him, their defensive front could instantly transform into a nightmare for opposing offenses. The potential ripple effects of such a trade go far beyond just one player switching jerseys. It could redefine Miami's defensive identity, attract more top-tier talent, and even reshape their strategy for seasons to come. And don't forget the media frenzy that would follow, with fans and analysts alike scrambling to digest the implications of such a bold move. It's a narrative ripe with drama and potential, something that any NFL fan can't help but get excited about. On the flip side, the Rams losing Aaron Donald would be nothing short of a heartbreak for their fan base. Donald has been the cornerstone of their defense for years, a player whose intensity and skill have anchored their championship aspiration. If this deal goes through, it would mark a huge turning point for Los Angeles, signaling either a strategic rebuild or a shakeup in how they approach the next season. The question on everyone's lips would be, what's next for the Rams? Without their defensive superstar, would they look to trade for new talent, or would this be a sign of an internal restructuring? The possibilities are endless, and the suspense is driving fans and insiders to the edge of their seats, all eagerly waiting for the next official word. Delving deeper into the logistics, this trade, if confirmed, wouldn't just be a simple player swap. It's likely to be one of the most complex and high-stakes deals the NFL has seen in recent years. Negotiations would undoubtedly involve multiple draft picks and possibly other key players, as the Rams would want significant compensation for parting with such a game-changing asset. Meanwhile, the Dolphins would have to balance salary cap constraints with the allure of landing a player who could immediately elevate their defensive prowess. The intricate dance of cap space, player value, and future prospects makes this rumor even more tantalizing to follow. The coming days could reveal surprising twists in how this saga unfolds, with fans hanging on every update. Social media has been ablaze since the initial buzz started, with fans and analysts debating the plausibility of Aaron Donald donning a Dolphins jersey. Memes, hot takes, and passionate arguments have flooded platforms like Twitter and Instagram, with some fans ecstatic at the prospect and others skeptical. The speculation alone has sparked a wave of engagement that few rumors can match, turning this into a viral sensation. Conversations about how Donald's presence could boost the Dolphins' chances against powerhouse offenses or how the Rams might cope without him dominate sports talk shows and online forums. The energy around this potential trade is palpable, reminding us why NFL rumors hold such magnetic power over the sports world. If we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, Aaron Donald moving to Miami could have ripple effects that transcend just these two teams. The AFC East, already competitive with the Patriots, Bills, and Jets, would suddenly get a serious defensive upgrade for the Dolphins, potentially shaking up playoff dynamics. It might also trigger other teams to make moves, aiming to counterbalance Miami's newfound strength. The strategic chess game within the league would reach new heights. With front offices scrambling to adapt, rivalries could intensify, game plans would have to be rewritten, and the entire landscape of the NFL might shift. This single rumor has the power to rewrite storylines across the league, making it one of the most captivating developments to watch. For Aaron Donald himself, this potential move represents a monumental chapter in his storied career. After years of dominating at the Rams fortress, the idea of embracing a new challenge in Miami is both thrilling and daunting. Would he be ready to lead a defense hungry for respect and recognition? Could this change of scenery invigorate him to reach even greater heights? The human side of this story, the emotions, the ambitions, the pressures, adds a layer of depth to what might otherwise be seen as a mere trade. Fans and commentators alike will be watching not just the logistical outcomes, but how Donald's mindset and performance evolve if he takes this leap. It's a narrative rich with personal stakes and professional drama. Amidst all the excitement and speculation, it's important to remember that nothing is set in stone yet. Trades of this magnitude involve countless moving parts, approvals, and last-minute twists that can either cement or completely derail the deal. Yet, the persistent chatter from insiders and the strategic timing of some leaked hints suggest that this isn't just idle gossip. The NFL community is holding its breath, waiting for the official announcement that could confirm one of the most stunning trades in recent history. Until then, every new snippet of information only fans the flames of curiosity and debate. The suspense itself is a reminder of how thrilling the sport remains off the field. In conclusion, whether this Aaron Donald to Dolphins rumor pans out or not, it has already captured the imagination of fans across the country. The possibility of such a monumental move is enough to set hearts racing and spark endless debate. It's the kind of story that reminds us why we love sports, because every season, every off-season, holds the potential for game-changing moments, and this one, if true, could be among the most talked about shifts in NFL history. So buckle up and stay tuned, because the Aaron Donald saga might just be entering its most exciting chapter yet. Who knows? Miami's defensive future could be about to get a whole lot brighter. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!